What if everything we've been told about the peopling of the Americas was wrong? Not slightly off, not a few thousand years misdated, but wrong by hundreds of thousands of years. There's a site in central Mexico that might hold the key to rewriting human history, yet almost no one talks about it. Why? Because the evidence didn't just threaten mainstream archaeology, it shattered it. And when that happened, the establishment didn't respond with curiosity, they responded with guns. The site is called Hueyatlaco. It's near Puebla, Mexico, and if the data is to be believed, humans, or something like us, may have been living there not 10,000 or 20,000 years ago, but possibly 250,000 years ago or more. That number sounds crazy, but the story of how this site was investigated and then buried might be one of the biggest cover-ups in the history of archaeology. It all started in 1959, when a young amateur archaeologist named Juan Armenta Camacho found a heavily fossilized bone. On closer inspection, it turned out the bone had been carved with a detailed hunting scene. Experts quickly realized that this wasn't some recent carving. It had been etched into what's called green bone, a bone that's still fresh and soft shortly after death before fossilization. That alone meant the carving was tens of thousands of years old. In a time when the Clovis first theory dominated archaeology, the idea that humans didn't arrive in the Americas until about 12,000 years ago, this was unthinkable. But here's where it gets even stranger. The artifact was publicly displayed. It was showcased at the Smithsonian and covered in major magazines, and then it vanished. No explanation, no paper trail. Still, to this day, nobody knows where it is. Fast forward to the 1960s. A respected archaeologist, Dr. Hannah Marie Wormington of the Denver Museum, took an interest in the finds. She dispatched a promising young archaeologist named Cynthia Irwin Williams to lead an official excavation. This wasn't a fringe operation. The Smithsonian and the US Geological Survey got involved. And what they found shook even the most experienced scientists. The site revealed finely worked stone tools lying in clear, stratified layers beneath volcanic ash. Volcanic ash is important in archaeology because it can be dated. When geologist Hal Malda tested the ash that covered the tools, he got a shocking result. 22,000 years old. That alone would have rewritten the textbook understanding of when humans first arrived in the Americas. But deeper layers held even older artifacts, and the volcanic ash that blanketed them turned out, according to newer dating methods, to be between 250,000 and 800,000 years old. These weren't sloppy estimates. In the 1970s, geologists Virginia Steen McIntyre and Barney Szabo used uranium-series dating, an accepted scientific technique, to confirm those dates. And what happened next tells you everything you need to know. Instead of support, Steen McIntyre was harassed, her funding dried up, her career stalled, all because she dared to publish data that contradicted mainstream models. Things turned darker on site. Men with pistols allegedly arrived and forced the workers off the dig. Some were arrested, artifacts disappeared, homes and offices of team members were broken into. According to multiple first-hand accounts, it wasn't just a scientific dispute, it was suppression. Still, some researchers refused to let the truth be buried. In 2001, geologist Marshall Payne took a clever approach. He collected ash samples from the site and sent them blindly to two independent labs using the latest dating techniques, fission track and uranium thorium helium. Neither lab knew where the samples were from. The results? One lab dated the ash to at least 250,000 years, the other put it between 400,000 and 500,000 years. There was no hoax, no agenda, just cold data. Yet skeptics like Michael Waters, director of the Center for the First Americans, continued to challenge the claims. He proposed that the artifact layers, specifically beds C and E, might have been repositioned by flooding or erosion. Perhaps he argued the artifacts were younger but got moved under the older ash layer. And to be fair, this is how science should work. Claims must be challenged, tested, verified. But when geologist Bob McKinney examined the stratigraphy, he found no evidence of disturbance. The layers weren't eroded or mixed, the artifacts were right where they were originally deposited. Additional support came from a new lesser-known dating method, diatom analysis. Diatoms are microscopic algae that live in water and become trapped in sediment. They change over time, and certain species go extinct. By examining which species were present in the layers containing artifacts, researchers were able to confirm that those beds were at least 80,000 years old, possibly older. And here's the kicker, even critics didn't dispute that one specific bed, known as Bed I, was older than the volcanic ash. That means even if some artifacts had possibly been disturbed in the upper layers, the finds in Bed I still challenge the entire paradigm. Locals who remember the excavation still talk about La Gringa, the white American woman, Cynthia, who led the dig. Some claim bones still wash up when lake levels drop. One researcher even followed rumors of mysterious footprints discovered in the surrounding volcanic rock, thought by some to be human impressions over 1 million years old. Though that particular claim remains speculative, it speaks to the sense of mystery that still hangs over Hueyatlaco. And this site isn't alone. In San Diego, a mastodon bone was found that showed signs of being fractured from marrow, dated to 130,000 years ago. In Brazil, ancient rock art at Serra da Capivara could be tens of thousands of years older than anything we've seen. And the 22,000-year-old footprints at White Sands, New Mexico, are now widely accepted and already rewriting American prehistory. But the question remains, why is no one going back to Hueyatlaco? Why isn't there a renewed excavation with modern tools and independent oversight? If the data is even remotely valid, this could be the most important archaeological site in the Americas, if not the world. So what really happened? Were artifacts truly buried beneath layers dated to 250,000 years ago? Did an unknown human population live in Mexico before Homo sapiens were thought to exist outside of Africa? Or was it all a terrible mistake, and a series of career-ending punishments for well-meaning scientists who stumbled into something too big to handle? One thing is clear, this wasn't just about debate, this was suppression. The artifact that started it all is still missing. Eyewitnesses were silenced, and the site, once promising to rewrite human history, was buried not by sediment, but by censorship. Until someone goes back and reopens the dig, Hueyatlaco remains one of the most mysterious, and possibly most important, archaeological enigmas in the world. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey as fascinating as we did, subscribe to Awakened Epochs for more.